humans. I'm Mike Nix, the Herald of the Gods. And welcome back to the Culture Gods channel. I just checked out Beetlejuice, or Beetlejuice the sequel. So the original Beetlejuice came out in 1988, and here we are 36 years later. This was a really good throwback to the original as well as a sequel. Let me start off by saying this. I am not really a fan of all of these throwback movies that are just now getting a sequel 30 and 40 years later from the 90s and the 80s. From Ghost, now, let me separate, okay? Because there's a few movies that I don't mind that they're doing this with. Ghostbusters, I'm kind of on the fence about, even though I did see the last one and I thought it was pretty good. Beetlejuice, I really liked it, really a lot. Didn't love it, but I liked it, you know. And if you got nostalgia like me and you saw the first one originally when it first, well, I won't say first released or back around that time when you were a kid, then I think that, you know, this has a special place in your heart. But everybody else, all these other IPs that are, you know, you were released 30 and 40 years ago that are just now getting, you know, coming to America. And, you know, there's a few other ones, Beverly Hills Cop and shit like that. I kind of don't care, to be honest with you. I've moved on. I want to see fresh new IPs. I don't even want to see, you know, sequels with the kids of the parents that did it. You know, let me not say never, because if it's done right, it can be done. But I feel like people just need to, the directors and these creators and these writers need to come up with new shit. I'm really in that crowd, and I feel like a lot of these movies need to just kind of stay in the iconic realm where they were. But Chris Stuckman on his channel said something that I've been feeling for a long time, and it's that a lot of these movies hold a special place in our hearts because they were released in a time when, you know, if you watch that movie at a certain time with your grandma and your mom or your family, and you were a certain age, and, you know, or when it came on TV, it was certain commercials that came on in between that, you know, that throw you back to that time, and you were wearing certain things and a certain type of music that was playing around that. All of that shit plays into how you enjoy art and entertainment. And for a lot of people, when we watch these things and then 30 years later they make the sequel, it don't hit the same, because it's like it's completely detached from that time period, and it's completely detached from our nostalgia. You know, certain movies that were made in that time frame, like Home Alone and Lethal Weapon, and, you know, movies like that, they were still made within that time frame, so they still hold that nostalgia, because these movies are just like music. They capture moments in time for us. That's what makes them special. That's why a lot of the Drake glazers and the OV hoes can't seem to let go of the Drake battle and admit that Kendrick Lamar won, because when Drake was releasing music, they were little kids, and that was a part of their childhood, which I completely understand. Is why I think Hove won the battle between Nas and Hove. You know what I'm saying? So I get it. Even though Ether came out and pretty much, I ain't gonna lie to you, Ether did body him. Like, I personally believe that Ether was the better rap song for real. So in a way, I guess I could say Nas won, but Jay went on to, you know, have a phenomenal career after that, and Nas did too. Anyway, that's beside the point. I went on a tangent. Anyway, Beetlejuice. Basically, it stars Winona Ryder. She comes back as Lydia, and she is a host of a ghost capturing program or show. And, you know, she's very successful. She's doing a thing. And then she has a boyfriend or fiance. Excuse me. She has a fiance who, you know, he's weird. He's creepy. You know what I'm saying? You could tell he's just a slime ball. He's just in it for the money. He's only with her for the money and shit like that. And then Jenna Ortega, the new Wednesday, is basically Lydia's daughter, and she kind of takes over the role of, remember, Lydia in the first Beetlejuice, she was real dark and emo and real, super eccentric, but an introvert, like to the highest degree, somebody I could relate to. That's kind of what Jenna Ortega's role is as Astrid. So, Astrid, she's coming up and she doesn't believe, so her mama can see ghosts and stuff like that, but she doesn't really buy into the whole thing. Plus, she hates her new stepdad. Catherine O'Hara, somebody that I absolutely love, of course, plays in my favorite Christmas movie of all time, well, my top 2 favorite Christmas movies of all time, Home Alone 1 and 2. She reprises her role as well. And just keep this short and quick, man. This kind of had all the elements of the first movie. So, it transitioned from, the reality to the afterlife down there, when you die and you're going there, you're sitting on the couch and all that, when Beetlejuice is sitting on the couch and the guy with the shrunken head and the girl that's cut in half and all that shit. They do that, they play on that. But this time Beetlejuice, here's Lydia, or Lydia needs her help. Lydia needs his help. So of course, he comes back. But there's a couple of extra characters in there. Astrid basically has a boyfriend, or got a little boy, teenage boy that she likes, and he's actually a ghost. So he ends up, and this is a spoiler review, by the way, if I didn't say that already. But he's a ghost. He comes back to life, or not comes back to life. He wants to come back to life, so he needs to swap souls with Astrid. So he tricks her. They go down to the afterlife. He tricks her. At the same time, the scumbag stepdad is trying to marry Lydia, and Lydia is still kind of awkward, even as a grown woman, and she loves him, but she's kind of so caught up in her show that she's just kind of like, the relationship's kind of like an afterthought, whereas he's like, yo, I'm trying to do this so I can get this money, and then at the same time, Beetlejuice is being chased after by his, I guess, ex-bride to be. Monica Bellucci plays Dolores, who is Beetlejuice's ex-lover, and so she plays a part in the whole thing. And like I said, it's a very dope homage to the first Beetlejuice. Of course they do the claymation, stop motion animation, and with the sandworms and shit like that. And there's that whole scene that comes into play. I would say that Michael Keaton, man, he took on this role like he hasn't missed a beat. Like the first Beetlejuice came out last year. He's real funny in it. His humor, his comedy is witty. I heard that he freestyled most of the lines in the first Beetlejuice. I can't tell which lines are freestyled and which ones aren't in this one, but the way he carries on from the first Beetlejuice into this one, it's like he didn't miss a beat. I will promise you that. If you're looking to see something that is a modernized version of Beetlejuice, I wouldn't say this is necessarily that. They didn't really do anything extra except add some extra characters and flesh out the world just a little bit. But they kept all the things that made the first Beetlejuice really good. And I would say that back then, the directors, there was a lot of dark comedy was a thing back in the 90s. It's not really a thing now. And if you think of dark comedy now, I can't even think of any examples of that. But Home Alone was kind of like one of those. It's like a dark comedy. Beetlejuice is definitely a dark comedy, and they kind of kept that same tone and that same feel. Like even the imagery, they kept, like with the house and that statue outside, it's like a tree or whatever the case is. It came to life in the movie. On the first movie, they kept that imagery in this movie, and they kept that feel of the movie as well. So it wasn't real deep. It wasn't too many layers to it. I expected it to. I didn't really know what to expect for real, but I was pleasantly surprised. I really liked it. I don't know if they're gonna make a third one, but if they do, I'll be checking it out. If you and your inner child is wondering if this is a Beetlejuice movie for you, I would say that it definitely is. It almost gave me the vibes of Christmas Story 2. I mean, well, whatever that last Christmas story that came out where Ralphie is a grown man. That was a really good homage and throwback to the first Christmas Story. This kind of gives you that vibe, you know. Anyway, that's going to do it for me. I'm out of here. See y'all in the next video. You better pull up. Don't do it for me. Do it for the God.